Hi, Joe here. And ain't the world a funny place? Uh Heard something ridiculous on the news and that had a grain of truth in it. And I've got an odd perspective because of some of my life experience. So I thought I'd make a comment on it. And the item is um the incompetent chief of the American Health Department says that keto cures Alzheimer's. And it's such an obvious skew of bullshit. Um, but there's more than a kernel of truth. And I know a bit about keto because I've been keto for about 5 years. And it includes learning about other things, constantly studying metabolism and nutrients and noticing what you eat and how it changes your state of being, your metabolism, and your focus. Uh, because food has an impact on mental function. And keto introduces you to the fact that the metabolism has multiple gears. It's like hybrid. You can switch from one fuel to another or run a couple at once. Um, and So you learn and dig into keto and you try different ways of playing it and giving your gut a rest every once in a while is a part of the play. Intermittent fasting. That's where you start learning about shifting gears in your metabolism. Give your gut a rest a while and see how it changes how you feel. Um, okay, flavors of fuels. Um, Sugar burns fast and dirty. Fat burns slow and long and cleaner. Um, and if there's carbs in the system, they burn first. And even to the point of blocking burning fats at all sometimes. If you over carb it, you're burning hot and fast. Um, when you give your gut a rest, um, not only does your gut have a chance to heal, from all the stuff that goes through there, um, but things have a chance to calm down. If everything's in crisis all the time, if there's alarms here and alarms there, and geez, add alcohol into carbs and then liver and kidneys and pancreas, metabolic chaos. Oh, sidebar. I have a fatal illness in remission based on noticing that daily. And that's actually kind of a nifty thing. Life is a balancing act, so long as I can maintain my sanity. And geez, sometimes ain't it a crazy world? But okay, so flavors of fuels. Um, you might be familiar with the manic surge of energy with sugar and then the sprint of vigor and the crash after and depression and that that quick manic hunger. Oh, manic energy and manic hunger and depression in the loop and over and over and over again. And it's just a roller coaster ridden through the day. And sometimes it's a wonder people aren't more crazy, you know? Um, give your gut a rest a while and a cup of tea, lemonade, no sugar. Geez. So fat, how does that feel once you're shifting gears and not disturbing it with too much carby turbulence? Um, you might miss some of them vigorous manic sprint energy surges because sometimes the fat fuel ain't quite up for that. But if you're up for slow and steady and long stamina, like this ain't a sprint. It's might be even longer than marathon. You know, sometimes the sense of stamina that you can feel when you're and it's got a gravitas, a heavy um that fat turns into an asset and fuel that can burn for miles. And once I'm in fat gear, um, and learning long-term fasting, I can choose my weight. Also, longer-term fasting past a day, going into 3 days and 5 days, even as short as 16 hours. But um, when you give your gut a rest, the metabolism has multiple gears, and then it shifts into something called autophagy, which is a metabolic subroutine that kicks in when the digestive tract is turning down. Where's the fuel? And a hormonal shift, and let's go look around the system if there's any garbage and turn it into fuel and toss out the garbage. That's a metabolic subroutine, accessible by choice. Wow. And not only does it clean up the garbage and put it out, but it ups the system's scouting and predation and digging up what else might be fuely. Um, and some of them go hunting for cancer cells. And so autophagy is um, a part of it is the immune system moving into higher gear. And it's kind of quiet, but it's got a kind of vigor to it and a kind of the machinery knows what it's doing and it's helping you. And okay, so I'm digging into metabolism and all this stuff in history and um all this stuff turns out to be one of Hippocrates' favorite tools. And Hippocrates was the founder of medicine, and he taught on an island in the northern Aegean up towards almost to Troy, near Samothrace and Thessalonica. Anyways, Kos, Kos, and his school was under a plane tree, Plane. And one of Hippocrates' trees in a garden in London met with a plane tree from um, um uh, North America that had, you know, um, been, over some of the longhouses of the extended longhouse civilization of 5 and 6 tribes that they had multiple forms of councils. Um, anyways, uh, plane trees are interesting. Uh, and Hippocrates taught under them. That was his classroom. And one of his favorite tools was if you got a problem, give your gut a rest a while and then introduce things once at a time, one of a kind, until we find the one that causes you problems. And then you can eliminate it from your diet permanently and problem solved. That was one of his methodologies. And it's as real as grass and as easy as honesty, you know? But hunger can be, no, actually, fasting is different than hunger. Another metabolic gear shift. Um, if you've got your water balance sustained and your electrolytes at ease, electrolytes help between the nerves and the muscles, and that's why they're essential to function, including the heart. So mind your electrolytes. And before you go into autophagy, actually, I'd recommend doing serious study. And I'd recommend 10 hours each of videos from um, Jason Fung, Dr. Boz, um, oh, Doc, even Dr. Berg, even though he's a Scientologist. Some of his stuff is true, but uh, keep an eye peeled, Don't get um, and Dr. Mindy, thank you. While I was searching for names. And anyways, go find some people you like, go do some serious study and practice and maybe talk to people. But you can spend months and years waiting for a doctor, but autophagy might be worth a visit. And the thing is that Hippocrates in many interactions over many years kind of developed a rapport with the process, and what he projected for what we call autophagy, a system, automatic routines that know what they're doing and are beneficial. Um, he learned to trust that, and he actually considered himself to be a servant of the process, which he came to call the doctor within. And it's a reminder that we think we're all bosses of everything, but we're riding on massive amounts of subroutines, which are entirely outside our consent or even understanding. And trying to notice and get in gear with that kind of thing can be a bit enlightening. Oh, okay. So back to the keto cures Alzheimer's. Uh, Another part of the process of autophagy and the clearing away of garbage and broken stuff and maybe some cancer cells. It also cleans up the garbage, some of the garbage in the brain, and it does sharpen the mind. It's noticeable. Uh, People comment on the fog clearing and clarity, just a flavor of clarity that can be quite beautiful. And it ain't just doing equations or something like that. It's actually noticing that there's many more processes and flows going on around us all the time that it might be worth pursuing integration with or exploring. And they involve nature and goals and community and oodles of other things. And you might be hearing the sirens outside. I live in a on Main Street kind of thing. Uh, anyways, uh, so keto and autophagy can be used as medical modalities for exploring both metabolic orders and disorders, or but also that that clarifying fact. You it's actually an invitation to maybe try serving keto in senior centers where the fog is getting thicker by the day. Um, or actually, sometimes you can't tell people what to do. Um, but uh, the erosion of capacity can come on faster than people can be prepared for. And um, so maybe a visit with autophagy and clarity might revive the capacity for discussions about preferable modes of exit as wow. Um, it might be a bigger patch of lucidity or it might be a smaller one. But if you explore these diet modes, um, you can learn a bit of able to play it. And I don't know, some seniors water, it might be a hard stretch for them. Um, so this is only suggested with humility. Um, but sometimes a visit with lucidity before saying goodbye has can have a great deal of value. And it's a possibility. And actually, I think that everybody should explore these things from their own bodily perspective. Um, because by accident, I actually already learned half of this stuff when I was in my teens, at my high school, uh, in the late 60s, early 70s. Um, there was a famine in a province of Nigeria having in a civil war, and they were called Biafra. And they had a fundraiser for the starving that was, could you have a taste of hunger to understand where they are? And it was a 3-day fast with water on your system. And had to get permission from the parents. And I gave it a real shot. Um, I've been to hospitals and had operations and have done physio. And so I know how to turn on a kind of physio mode. Oh, I can do it for a few days and see how it feels. And it wasn't half as difficult as I thought it would be. And a lot of people are afraid of hunger, and it's nice to be a bit less so. And also, um, the more times you do it, the more times you might be gaining empathy bigger, but it's kind of grooving with your inner beneficial uh, sub and super systems. Um, and just being able to shake hands with something like that in a quiet moment on one's own. And it's quite an extraordinary thing. Um, and so I've mentioned three metabolic states: sugar, uh, fat with protein, um, and all this stuff. Dig into oodles of research and science discussions and websites and Diet Doctor and Reddit and everything else. Um, so here's a metabolism. There's the sugar that leans fast and smoky, fat that leans slow but steady, and fasting that leans into a lightness and a point of view and a metabolic um, repair slash reboot. Um, those are some gears that are available. And that means I think there may be more um, states to explore. And actually, I pick up all this stuff because obviously I'm on the smart side. But um, not only am I interested in learning what's going on out there in the world, but I'm also interested in learning about what's going on in here, in me and what I am and all, how to bring this to, you know, some fruition or purpose or goal or usefulness. Um, oh, all that chatter, and I didn't even mention that one of the other side effects is stepping out of inflammation can be transformative. Um, I had lifelong arthritis, um, 8 to 12 pain pills a day. Um, three types: over the counters, prescriptions, and triplicates. Those are the pills where the narcs are watching. Um, uh, Pills that are used for street drugs, that kind of thing, that are serious pain pills. Anyway, this was a part of my repertoire for years. Well, um, keto, the weight came off, um, rather readily, and but it seems like it wants not to be monotonous. It likes to shake it up. In other words, those periodic autophagy fasts would actually kick the keto into high gear to push the metabolism even more firmly into the embrace of ketone bodies, which are multiple um, metabolites that are generated by the liver that from fat in the bloodstream And many cells really prefer that fuel over carbs. And so when the metabolism is properly shifted into keto, the engine hums and it's quieter, but it's longer. And it doesn't worry about how big the fuel tank is because there's a lot of lard to burn. Um, Inflammation, getting rid of all that carb smoke in the metabolism didn't happen right away, over a month, but a slow decline in inflammation, maybe 7 weeks, 2 months. Um, I stopped needing pain pill. A lifelong arthritic stopped needing pain pills. I take them occasionally for things that come up. Um, Last one was maybe over a year ago for a headache. Um, that's a kind of quiet miracle. To Arthritis is burning bones. Um, Stairs would scrape hips and knees with every step, you know. Uh, Back, uh, shoulder, hip, feet. Anyways, thumb. Gosh, and burning skeleton was such a constant companion. It kind of preoccupied my preoccupied my attention from other things to do and maybe how to respond to people. Um, you know, Sometimes the pain could be too thick to hear, you know, and it's hard to mention that to people. Uh, my hearing's already not so sharp, but add a load of overwhelming pain and it's even worse. Anyway, just to indicate living in an absence of pain can be extraordinary. I mentioned being acquainted with the bottle and that being an allergen poison. Well, actually, alcohol and sugar are very similar. And maybe this metabolism is inviting me to explore life without the both of them. And actually, that's a pretty smart decision, I find. And the thing is that I don't, it's hard to find the right gear that keeps me at the lowest weight. And because the more weight I lost, the harder each next pound got. And the more I was using extended fasting to force the weight down. And I'm meaning more than 5 days. And this is on my own. And here it is, the start of Lent. And while I've eaten a bit, I think today, well, a mocha coffee, bit of chocolate powder, no sugar. Of course, one can have chocolate on keto several ways. Um, Chia pudding or cocoa or mocha chai tea. There's oodles of ways. Anyway, I don't feel deprived at all. I'm sufficiently creative as to muster up something sufficient to gratify whatever this craver in me is for just basic nutrition. So I sometimes treat it like play and sometimes give it a rest. And I'm thinking about giving it a rest um for a while. Uh the thing is that um arthritis isn't the only inflammatory disease, and keto reduces inflammation. That's actually bigger than keto cures Alzheimer. Um, and I'm not expressing that as an emphatic, I'm expressing it as an exploratory. Go check it out. Um, Funny, for a few years when I um meet medical people, uh, I'll ask, oh, by the way, do you have a personal experience in fasting and even perhaps extended fasting? And it seems very rare. And I find that the insights it provides into metabolic variations and potentials, it seems to me extraordinary that most doctors appear not to be have taught basic Hippocrates, you know, experientially. Um, Related ancient Greek is Hippocrates and Pythagoras. Pythagoras geometry and geometry. Do you know what geometry is? Geo is the word, metry is measure, geometry to measure the world. A course in that like 2,400 years ago, you know? Um, and Pythagoras, um, many people knew that fasting sharpened the mind. It was even used in military strategies. But Pythagoras had a famous school, you can look it up, and he recommended to his students that they bring a fasted mind to his class, sharpen it up. There's going to be a lot of angles, and you want a mind capable of acuity. Yes, there's a lot of obtuse. Acuity is a virtue. Um, Gee, how's that for angle talk? And did you know, um, of all the various people that came together in England and Britain, um, there were of course the Normans and the Saxons and the oodles and noodle and Celts and Druids and so many others. Amongst them all is the Angles near Saxony, and they came over too. And what? Why do you move? You're looking for an angle on having a life, you know, trying to build, trying to build something, trying to build something with an angle. And that's where English's name comes from. English, angles. It's just a part of the mix with even the Arthurians, the Round Table, and all that, and maybe even hobbits. Um, Approaching a wind-up for this recording is along with metabolism, I've come to see that there may be more than three gears of thinking and maybe of talking too. And that might be nifty and worth exploring. If you got a comment or want something to say, speak up. Um, because that's what I'm doing. I'm speaking up, you know? Say something. Be who you are. Wow. There's a lot to be learned, and I'm looking forward to exploring and more to come. But I wanted to underline different ways of thinking and able to look at stuff. Um, yeah, enough for now. I'll do another. I'm thinking that shorter pieces might be more palatable than some of my longer ones, so let's try that. Okay? Thank you kindly. Hope you're well. Ciao.